I think from the onset we have really wanted serious games to try and in some sense change the world, or at least help to change the world. So my name is Simon Egenfeldt-Nielsen and I'm founder and CEO of Serious Games Interactive. I originally have a background as a psychologist, but quite early on I got very interested in games and learning. And after a short sprint in the research world as a PhD from IT University of Copenhagen around games and learning, I then started Serious Games Interactive. Basically, we started Serious Games Interactive because we, 15 years ago, I guess, had a feeling that you could do more with games around learning than was being done at that time. For us, it doesn't matter so much if it's a specific target group or a specific domain or topic. For us, it's just really interesting to use games as a language to do learning and change in a different way. Serious Games Interactive is a learning and change agency. So what we do is actually, we have two distinct approaches. We look at how can we get smarter and how can we change what you're doing. And that is actually two different challenges that are quite important. And at the center of that is also a very close collaboration and co-creation process, typically with subject matter experts, because we do learning games around so many different things that we obviously cannot be experts in everything. Typically, we start with what we call the scoping process, and that is basically about setting up the parameters. But of course, our scoping process focuses on some other things than what you would do in a normal game or another creative process. So we have a lot of focus on like learning goal, objectives, the context of use, the target group, the delivery method. A lot of boring questions, but also some really tough questions where the client will be a little bit like, what is actually our objectives and how do we actually measure whether we succeed? Somebody knows about the game, somebody knows about the field, and somebody knows about how it's actually happening in the real life. So we have some tricks to basically try and like fast forward to making it look and feel like a game, even if it's actually not a game yet. So we do that at the end of the design phase, and then we sit down and say, okay, this is actually a game that we can see will fulfill what we set out to do. And then we start to actually produce it, program it, do the final assets, put it together, set up a server. And then we'll produce the game, then we actually deploy it and make the maintenance ready and all that stuff. So for the last couple of years, we've been working on something we call DIBBLE. And DIBBLE is basically short for dilemma-based learning. So if you really zoom in and say, what are games about? They're actually about interesting choices. And that are what good dilemmas are, interesting choices. Right now, I would say if I want to really easily make a learning game, my options are quiz. I would like for them to be able, do we do a quiz game for the facts or dilemma for what we don't know? So in that sense, actually creating a new category where we can enable dilemma-based learning. So it's not always or only about right or wrong, yes or no, 2 + 2 = 4. Look at the platform we're creating. It's basically, as I think I described, PowerPoint on steroids with some voting mechanics and some role-playing mechanics. Of course, the challenge is to make that so simple and intuitive that everybody can do it. I mean, our ambition is basically, right now, I would say, to take those 15 years of experiences and hopefully condense that into this diamond that makes it possible for people to quite quickly make learning games that find this balance between, you can say, game, learning, and the digital.